Hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to be getting this going regularly, I think. It seems to be going well. A lot of feedback. Thank you guys so much for emails and that kind of thing. I know a lot of you guys are watching this after the fact, after it posts on Facebook. Obviously, I'm going to be doing a lot more content. It's going to end up on YouTube. So I'm going to try to repeat things a lot better tonight. People are asking about, like, where's your YouTube channels and those kinds of things. So I'll try to repeat those. So there are two channels that I currently run. One's called What's Your Story. WYS is the beginning part of that channel's page on Facebook. So I'll make sure that some of these links are put in there and that kind of thing will be easier to get to. And the other thing is, when I'm talking about movies and TV and stuff like that, I usually put it under Pops on Pop Culture. So that's me. Kids call me Pops. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in society. But I want to talk about it from two different perspectives. So this first segment is going to be about businesses. Like, where are you going to shop? Some suggestions, like how do you get by and shop right now, right? So there's a lot of folks that are dealing with a lot of limitations on their time, when they can go out, told to stay home. Some people are trying to work and stuff during this crisis and that kind of stuff like that. So let's talk about that first, and I'll be happy to take your comments, any feedback that you have. Let me give you a couple things I know that we're going through. Number one, the biggest thing is you want to try to address people that are at risk, right? So if you have folks in your home that are high-risk seniors, folks with underlying medical conditions, maybe they're an asthma patient, maybe they're a cancer patient, those kinds of things, respiratory disorders, those kinds of things. You want to make sure these folks are exposed to as little as possible. So you may have to shop for a parent or a friend or your child. You really need to shelter in those kind of people that are at the highest risk. And to help with that, a lot of companies have already rolled out senior time shopping. So wherever you are, you may want to just check local stores and things like that. I know Walmart's done it, Target's done it, Aldi's done it. All these different stores have done that. I don't know if you're taking advantage of that. We have been out and we have seen that in a few stores. I also find that anywhere we go, the first thing I would recommend is, if you don't already have it in your car, get yourself some bleach wipes, even if it's just baby wipes. Just get yourself something so that you can at least do a general wipe off of the cart. Most stores now have added those kinds of things, so you can wipe those things down. You can have that with you. I also find that creating a barrier with the cart is a great way to keep people away from you, right? So my wife and I will be tag teaming. We go to stores. We use the cart as kind of a barrier to keep people away from us. And I got to be honest, now's the time to just be patient. Slow down. Don't put yourself at risk. Right? You're trying to not pick up something that you could take home, that you could infect someone else, you could bring to someone that could be sensitive to a really bad infection. So what you want to do is, when you're shopping, you want to minimize any exposure. Now, the 6-foot radius that they talk about is because that's a radius, and you can go to the CDC website, you can find out more about this. That is a 6-foot radius that stems from the distance if someone sneezes or coughs. Now, if you even have allergies like I do, right? You don't want to be sneezing and coughing on your hands, because you're putting all of that on your hands, right? So what you want to do is you want to sneeze into your sleeve and those kinds of things. So if you see people down an aisle that you need to go in, why don't you just wait a second? I have stood at the end of a row waiting for people to vacate an area that I had to get an item. I've actually stood at the men's department in Walmart waiting for several minutes for someone to leave an area that I need to go into. And it's not because I'm freaking out. I would rather just take a moment, be a lot more patient while I'm out, be patient with the staff, be patient with the fact that there may not be inventory right now. You can make a trip out and find out the things you needed aren't even there. And you may have to stand in line. I know there's a lot of places where there's a lot of limitations, right? You can only buy one of paper products, maybe one bleach, these kind of products. So take your time shopping, have a plan, have a strategy so you're not wasting time, you're not wandering around. Now's not really the time for that kind of stuff, right? But check some of your local stores, find out what stores are working well for you, and I'll gladly take any of your comments or suggestions where you have some of those. Like, where are you shopping? Like, who has good policies in place? I heard that Publix is adding like a plastic shield to help with the barrier between the cashier and the customers. So that's a huge thing. I think hopefully when we look at this, we can come back with some of these best practices, right? I went to another store and they had a person stationed at the carts. So when you would return your cart, or they'd bring them in, someone had a little bucket of bleach and they were wiping down the carts. So I thought that was a great way to do it, because you actually have like a greeter, but they're actually working and doing something very productive by minimizing this kind of transmission of this infection. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so tell me places that you're going where you are shopping regularly, you found good luck, bad luck, little tips, certain times of the day that might work for you. Just let me know. The other thing that we're doing is we are ordering a lot online, right? So you can use apps and you can order online, and a lot of stores have carry out and pick up. That's not just food. Obviously, everyone's thinking about restaurants, and most restaurants that are still open are really high focused on only having drive-through, takeout, order out, those kinds of things. And that's all true, and that's great. I think we need to be at least reasonably regular patrons of restaurants, or they're not going to survive this, right? So you have to think about whole restaurants now don't have a spot for a lot of waitress staff, right? Their janitorial staff might be minimal now. Their kitchen crew, their dishes, those kinds of, you have a completely different dynamic now. These restaurants are really going to struggle to, stay in business and hang on to some of these staff. They may have already been let go, right? We've seen that. So feel free, please support your restaurant, support those that you really do enjoy so that they stay in business. Just order carryout. A lot of them, call ahead. Call ahead and ask them, what is your policy? How do you bring them out? Those kinds of things. So that's another thing you want to do. But other places like Sam's and Walmart, we're using regularly. When we do the order, we pick it up. You don't have to wander around. And actually, Sam's has a great app. If you have a Sam's membership, if you're not using the app, you are missing out on a huge convenience that goes with it, right? So you can use an app, put your card into the program. So when you shop, you add everything in there, you pay, then you go to the register, the checkout security area, they check your barcode, you're good to go. They do a zap of an item or two to make sure the theft's being minimal. You basically can avoid pretty much anybody. We walked around, bought some things. I really didn't come within 3, 4, 5 feet of anybody, not even accidentally. So that's another thing that's worked well for you. So give me an idea of some of the things that are work. Are you ordering more from Amazon? Are there certain companies online that are really good to order from? You're finding they do a great job on shipping this kind of food or that kind of food or this kind of item. We just ordered a bunch of coffee online. It was just easier than trying to find out where stores still had it, because if you're on a special diet or you have different limitations, there are foods that you're not the only one looking for. So people are a little fearful that they might run out. They've bought extra. So when you get there might not be any. So you may have to turn online and look for things like that. So I encourage you to, let's use this as an opportunity, a video to share. Like I said, I'm going to post this on YouTube as well. And if you don't want to wait, so there's a lot of times these clips, I don't share them on Facebook after they're on YouTube. If you don't want to wait, hit my YouTube pages. Again, it's What's Your Story, it's Pops on Pop Culture. I'm going to put those in there. If you hit the little subscribe button, it'll ask you about your notifications. There's one called, it looks like a little bell. When you hit that, it'll give you an alert every time I post one of these videos or any video. So at least you can have an idea of some information that we're trying to put out there. And again, I welcome all your comments and insight on what kind of video and content that you want to see more of. So let me turn to Facebook Live, folks, and see. Sierra says that grocery delivery is also very popular right now. Can do delivery to your door. Instacart does curbside delivery, and you can drive up and avoid some extra fees. So I definitely can attest to Instacart. Instacart is very active every single time we've been in an Aldi. Now, if you're not familiar with an Aldi, we have a lot here in the Tampa Bay area, and they are a great resource to get fresh produce. I don't know if it's because of the price, but it seems like they rotate through produce so rapidly, you tend to get pretty good fruit. You have to fish through, obviously, as any other produce department does, but Instacart folks are there with ordering and collecting orders all the time. And I know this is the case in places like Publix, as she said, and Sierra, that's a great point, because if you can get Grubhubs and DoorDash and Uber Eats and Instacart and these kinds of things to minimize your time, that's one less chance that you could pick something up, you could take something home, that you could transfer, pick up part of this infection, those kinds of things. Because that's what we're trying to do, right? Let's slow down, let's take a moment and slow things down, and then that will allow for better solutions to come. But at the same time, let's think about the economy, how to really support the businesses that are working hard. Let's try to be extra kind to the cashiers and staff. They're doing the best they can. Some of these folks are coming in hours before opening. They're staying hours after late because they're doing massive amounts of cleaning. They're stripping shelves down to clean all these different shelves. They're trying to restock as fast as they get trucks. I was in one store and I was able to get something that I wanted, but it was because the carts were still out because all the employees were up front checking people out. And the boxes were popped open because people had gotten stuff out of there. And that's how I even noticed that it was there. I would have walked right past it. So, it is the demand and the supply and all that. It is so out of whack still. So again, plan, take your time, promote the businesses that are doing well. If you see an ad on Facebook or you see something, just promote these folks. Really get behind the businesses that you're patronizing so that people know what you're doing. Stand behind good company. Stand behind good customer service. I know there's going to be moments where it's not so good. And I'd encourage you not to make a scene. Don't make it worse. And I know you got to sometimes complain. You got to take stuff back, those kinds of things. Look, let's just try to deal with, I don't think anybody's out there trying to be malicious. I've always lived by the rule that this person could have had the worst horrible moment right before I had to interact with them, right? I know that when I used to have staff, I always tried to discipline them or try to really talk to them about a problem at the end of their shift, because if you talk to about it too soon, then they got a bad attitude, they don't feel good, they transfer that on the rest of the night or the rest of the day. So some folks don't operate like that, right? They come in first thing in the morning, their boss is like, bam, hit them hard with something. They could be carrying around a bad attitude, an ego problem as far as you're concerned, and there's probably a lot more to that story. So try to cut them a little bit of slack. So thanks again for everybody that's joining us on Facebook Live. Again, talking about a lot of the businesses, who you're patronizing, how you're ordering supplies, how you're getting through. A lot of stuff is back ordered, and I wish I could tell you for sure. I tried to get some stuff on Amazon. I got all the way through the cart process, and they said delivery was like sometime in May. So you're talking about some items that are already back ordered 5-6 weeks. And all I can tell you is, maybe you have to look for an alternate solution, right? Instead of hand sanitizer, you're going to have to get some wipes. I told someone today, if you can get baby wipes, which I have found pretty common, you can use a baby wipe as an alternative to that washing of the hand, right? So you get into the car, you got all these shopping bags or whatever. First off, try to put them somewhere where, you're not going to, contaminate your car. You don't want to get all, I don't think there's a lot of that, but what if there is, right? But you can use a baby wipe to quickly wipe off your hand, and then if you have to use lots of hand sanitizer, it's just a little bit. But washing your hands with soap and water all the time, it works really well. But just be diligent, be smart. Like I said, slow down, take your time. So we're just kind of running through some different places. I think I mentioned Walmart, Target, I know Aldi, Publix. Those are in our area. If you're out of state or something like that, feel free to let me know of a different company that's doing those early hours for seniors, those kinds of things. And again, hey to everybody that's jumping in and out, joining us tonight on Facebook Live as well. Think about, promoting those businesses that you're doing business with. Let's really try to figure out who's doing a good job. If you need this, you need that. And then just trying to how to strategically navigate shopping when you have to go out and yet not bring home stuff to the family or someone at home that's higher risk, right? So that's kind of how we're promoting, how do you go out and shop and survive with businesses, that kind of thing. And then, if you have a business and you're really struggling, I have to be honest, at this point, I don't want you to be shameful, man. You got to really start speaking up and let people know what's going on. If you have jobs available, right? There's a lot of shifts in the market, right? Folks that are in the hotel industry have been wiped out. But the restaurant industry, waitresses and stuff like that maybe, but when it comes to stocking in a grocery store, or it comes to doing things like DoorDash and Grubhub and those kinds of things. So the market has really shifted rather quickly. I think also there's going to be an opportunity for those of you who maybe have worked in the medical field in the past, outside of your element, and there's going to be a huge demand, I think, at some point with people who have even a little bit of medical knowledge to volunteer, if not actually work, for different areas. I heard about a call center that takes phone calls, and they're going to need help. I've heard people who need temp jobs who come in and work just temporarily a few hours a day in different roles. So there's a lot of different things that are happening. It's a little hard sometimes to know, where do I go shop? How do I shop? How do I wipe down a cart? And a lot of it is just pre-planning, right? We want to go out into the world. We want to get the things we need. We want to keep going. I would also say, if you go somewhere and you find, let's say, an item that's on short, supply right now, like toilet paper or bleach or wipes. Maybe you should text some of your family and friends that you know are struggling, or definitely those seniors or high-risk people. Say, listen, do you need me to grab one for you? I'll be happy to just pick one up for you. And then again, just reach out to some folks that may not be able, and you think really shouldn't be out there shopping on their own. Right? We really need to protect our own. Reach out to our circle, expand it a couple notches, and say, what can I do to help you? And I think the community can grow and come together in positive ways during a time of so much struggle and negativity, right? Because we get stronger through trials and difficulties, right? So, like, for instance, my dad, we kind of have him on lockdown right now, right? He had surgery last month. He's in the elderly population. And even though he is doing well, and we're really thrilled at how well he's doing, it's just too risky to have him out there shopping for himself. So his neighbors have helped out. I've tried to help out. And you just kind of have to go through a kind of an every few day thing, like, where are you at on this? Where are you at on that? What are those supplies that you need? But some of these companies have done a great job with their hours. They've got those special hours for seniors to shop. They've done a good job of adding different stations in the store for hand sanitizer. They're wiping down carts. You plan for that. You plan what kind of items you need. Don't go wander around. This is not a great time to go like shopping, right? And everyone's going to have some different curfews and different limitations. I know certain states are ahead of others, but I think we need to also be good at communicating, sharing information, reaching out to others, and trying to help those things. So tonight I wanted to spend some time on that. So if you have a place or you have something, who are you patronizing? Who are you spending your money to? Or you order stuff online? What's working well for you, and that kind of thing. So that's our segment, our first segment. I'm going to kind of end there, maybe a little bit on the shorter side, but I just want to kind of throw some of that out there. I don't know if it helps any of you guys know, but that's kind of how we've approached it. We really have become like strategic shoppers. We've kind of really looked at it a little bit differently than we normally would. We definitely go out less times. We're trying to get down to once a week, even if it's once every 4 or 5 days. I think that's better, right? Because it limits your exposure risk. It limits the chance that you're going to run into a situation where you could pick something up. So I hope that's helpful for you. Feel free to leave your comments right there.